Your strongest desires keep betraying you, and the reason has nothing to do with what you want. It has everything to do with how you hold the wanting. There's a tension living inside every person who's ever tried to change their life. You set a goal. You feel the pull toward it. You work. You visualize. You affirm. And somewhere along the way, the thing you're reaching for starts to feel heavier instead of closer. That weight you're carrying. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly where it comes from and how to set it down without letting go of the dream. Most people treat desire like a rope. They grab hold of what they want and pull. Harder, tighter, white-knuckled. The logic feels sound. The more force you apply, the faster it arrives. But think about the last time you wanted something so badly your chest ached with it. A relationship, a financial breakthrough, a healing you'd been waiting years for. Did the gripping bring it closer? Or did it just exhaust you? The grip is attachment, and attachment wears a convincing mask. It disguises itself as dedication, as focus, as passion. But underneath, attachment always carries the same signature: fear. Fear that it won't come. Fear that you're not enough to receive it. Fear that the universe requires your suffering as some kind of entry fee. Intention operates from a completely different place in you. Where attachment clenches, intention opens. Where attachment says, "I need this or I'll break," intention says, "I'm moving toward this because it's already part of who I'm becoming." The difference is subtle on the surface. Underneath, it reshapes everything. Neville Goddard spent decades teaching a principle that most of his students struggled with: the idea of living in the end. He'd say, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, dwell in that state, let it saturate you, and people would nod, go home, and immediately start checking for evidence that it was working. That checking? Attachment. The dwelling itself? Intention. Goddard understood that creation happens in the sustained assumption, the inner posture you hold when nobody's watching and nothing external has changed yet. The patience required for this is brutal. Your senses scream that nothing's different. Your mind offers 100 reasons to abandon the assumption. Staying anyway, that's the real discipline. So what separates the two in daily practice? Watch your body. Attachment lives in your jaw, your shoulders, your shallow breathing at 2 a.m. when you're scrolling for signs that your manifestation is close. Intention lives in your spine. Upright, quiet. A person walking towards something they've already decided is theirs doesn't need to run. The Stoics had a framework for this they called the reserve clause. You pursue your aim with full effort and commitment while internally releasing your grip on the specific outcome. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire this way. He planned, strategized, executed, and simultaneously held space for the possibility that the outcome might look different than he imagined. This wasn't passivity. The man fought wars and reformed laws. He simply refused to let his inner state become a hostage of external results. You've probably experienced both sides of this without having language for it. Remember a time you desperately wanted someone to call you back. You checked your phone every 4 minutes. You rehearsed what you'd say. You spiraled through scenarios. The call either came late or never. Now remember a time you applied for something, a job, an opportunity, and then genuinely forgot about it. Moved on. Filled your days with other things, and the email arrived on a Tuesday afternoon when you were thinking about lunch. The forgetting wasn't magic. You'd simply released the attachment while the intention had already been planted. Rumi wrote about this dynamic in a way that still cuts through 8 centuries of noise. He described the human heart as a guest house, where every experience arrives as a visitor. The practice is to welcome each one without clutching any of them. Desire walks in, you greet it, you honor it, you let it inform your direction. But the moment you chain desire to the floor and demand it stay forever, you've turned a guest house into a prison, and you're locked in there with it. There's a practice that bridges this gap between knowing and doing. Every morning, before your mind starts its daily audit of what's missing, sit with your intention for 60 seconds. Feel it the way you'd feel sunshine on your face. Present, warm, requiring 0 effort to receive. Then open your eyes and go about your day without checking the scoreboard. 60 seconds of genuine feeling outweighs 6 hours of anxious visualization. The quality of the inner state matters more than the quantity of time you spend in it. But here's where people stall. They confuse detachment with indifference. They hear release attachment and think it means stop caring, stop wanting, become some emotionless monk on a hill. That misunderstanding has derailed more spiritual journeys than doubt ever has. Detachment from outcome and passion for direction coexist. They have to. A sailor who doesn't care about reaching shore won't bother adjusting the sails. A sailor who panics about every wave will capsize. The skill is caring deeply about the voyage while trusting the current. The Bhagavad Gita frames this with a line that deserves to be tattooed on the inside of every manifestor's eyelids. You have the right to work, but never to the fruit of the work. Krishna isn't telling Arjuna to be lazy. He's telling a warrior on a battlefield to fight with everything he has and simultaneously release his grip on victory. The action is yours, the outcome belongs to something larger. When you internalize this, something shifts in your nervous system. The frantic energy drains. What replaces it feels like a quiet hum. Certainty without urgency. You can test which one you're operating from right now. Think about the thing you want most. Hold it in your mind. Now notice, does your body tighten or soften? Does your breathing get shallow or steady? Do you feel a gap between where you are and where you want to be? Or do you feel movement, like you're already in transit? Tightening is attachment talking, softening is intention, and you can shift between them in a single breath. The mental diet required for this shift is relentless. Every time you catch yourself narrating scarcity, it hasn't happened yet. What if it doesn't work? Other people get things easier. You're feeding attachment. Every time you redirect toward the assumption of fulfillment, you're strengthening intention. Goddard called this pruning. You're not suppressing thoughts. You're choosing which ones to water. The ones you starve eventually stop showing up. The ones you feed grow roots. There's a paradox buried in all of this that most teachings gloss over. The moment you try to force yourself into detachment, you've just created a new attachment. To being detached, it's recursive. The way through is gentler than force. You notice the clinging. You don't punish yourself for it. You simply return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the way you'd return to your breath in meditation, again and again, 1,000 times if necessary. The returning is the practice. Mastery isn't reaching a point where attachment never arises. Mastery is shortening the gap between the arising and the release. Consider what happens when you plant a seed in soil. You water it, you make sure it gets light, and then you do the most counterintuitive thing possible. You walk away. You don't dig it up every morning to check if roots are forming. You don't squeeze the soil tighter hoping to accelerate growth. The seed contains its own intelligence. Your job was the planting and the tending. The unfolding belongs to a rhythm older than your anxiety. Your intentions are already planted. Some of them have been in the ground for years. The question is whether you're tending them with open hands or digging them up every night with trembling fingers, demanding proof of progress. One approach feeds growth, the other kills it. Tonight before you sleep, try something. Hold your deepest desire in your mind. Feel it as already true, the warmth of it, the texture, the specific way your life looks with it present. Then release it the way you'd release a lantern into a dark sky. Watch it rise. Feel your hands open. Notice that the desire still lives inside you. It didn't leave when you let go of the grip. It just finally has room to breathe. The lantern is already rising. Your only job is to stop pulling it back down.